In this lesson, we're going to look at the aspects of a terrific title. What are those things that you have to consider when you're making a title for your book that's really going to speak to your readers and sell copies? So I'm going to break this down into fiction and nonfiction because they are different. There are some very distinct differences between them, and there's some things that are the same. Okay, and then for fiction books, so it's a little bit different here in that your title should pique the interest of the reader, right? So it should be something. Now here, you do want to be a bit clever and, have something catchy, but it should be something kind of piques their interest. And, you can pique their interest by, suggesting the struggle that's going to happen or subverting their expectations. So for example, if it's a Western, if you called it The Velvet Cowboy, right? That's subverting their expectations. It's like, what does that mean? Why would a cowboy have velvet on him? So it kind of grabs their attention enough that they might now click on it to see what this book is about, or at least continue reading it to your subtitle, and then your subtitle is going to spell it out a little bit more. In fiction, you should really speak to your reader. So again, if your readers like something quirky, you're going to make it really quirky. And you should always consider the genre that you're in. And, so it should match the genre. So if it's a romance, it's going to be softer wording. If it's an action book, you're going to have more powerful action nouns in there or verbs in there. If it's a technical, well, you wouldn't be doing a technical, actually, if it's science fiction aimed at scientists, you might have a more technical title because that's your audience. So it should speak to the readers as well. I'm just going through my notes here, make sure I don't forget anything. Again, memorable. Should always want to keep your title short and concise, and something with a bit of a beat to it or alliteration, if it makes sense, to just make it a memorable title. And here's the big difference these days is, again, the subtitle, we're going to use it to use SEO and specify the genre and the twist in your book. So, again, if it's a horror, romance, Western, you will specify in the subtitle, it's a horror, romance, Western, and you can, phrase it in a cute way, but you want to be very clear because this is SEO. So when people are searching for this kind of book, it's going to pull your book up, near the front of the list. And B, it helps the reader to immediately identify this book is for them, right? And so if they know immediately, oh, wow, this is exactly the kind of book I'm looking for, they're going to click on it first. Now, I know for fiction writers, you might hate this, but the thing is, you don't actually have to have it prominently on the title. If it really bothers you, you can just put the subtitle like that in small print near the bottom by the author name. Doesn't matter if it's small print, you're going to put it in the subtitle field for Amazon, and that's going to be the SEO that you need to have people finding your book. And so it is better if it's more readable, so readers can more self-identify. But I know, in fiction, you might find that a little tacky to have. So you can do it a little more discreetly and still benefit from the SEO that's going to give you. Lastly, there are a number of websites, and I'm going to share all of these with you, where do title generators. So if you're just kind of stuck for ideas, I'm going to list off, you can go to these websites, put in fiction, nonfiction, what genre your book is, and it's just going to give you a bunch of ideas for titles. I don't suggest you use them because it's not going to be taken a lot of these factors into account, but it might spur some ideas. It might give you, some thoughts that you didn't have before. So that's an option as well. And the exercise for this lesson is to brainstorm ideas for your book title. And I suggest at least 20. And I've actually seen a documentary where for a title, they actually spent about a month and wrote out like 1,000 titles. They had pages and pages and pages of possible titles. Honestly, the one they ended up with wasn't that great, so I think they overthought it. But the title is such a critical thing that I can't stress it enough. You should be spending time on the title. You should be spending time, and so brainstorm at least 20 different ideas for titles for your book, and then whittle it down to your top 3 and share with us what your top 3 book titles are. And again, you're not committed to these at this point. We're just doing this exercise to help you to develop the best titles that are going to be the most compelling and the most best converting titles, so that you're going to end up selling more books and getting your message out to more people.